Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damien Keys here. Okay, it's Sunday. I don't normally post on a weekend, but I'm in the office. I'm just catching up on some messages and doing a bit of work. And I just had an epiphany, so I thought I'd share it with you. I get asked so many questions on Facebook. I mean, every different type of question about the music industry, about musicians' career and stuff. The question I don't get asked, which is the question that should be asked, I don't get asked the right question many times out of all the questions I get. So come with me. This week I had a message from a friend of mine and she said, it's really sad, Laura Mvula has been dropped off her major label, off Sony, and the industry's up in arms about it, and it's really sad. And I thought, yeah, that is really sad that she's been dropped off her label. But the problem we have, and it happens a lot in this country especially, is we don't give people second chances. And once you've failed, you are deemed as a failure. So it's like, yeah, that's it, you've had your chance, you fucked it up, off you go. And that's just something that has always been the case, and it probably always will be the case. So we as artists and as musicians need to be going into this career mindful of that. Mindful that around you, people think of you as failing and being a failure. In my head, failure is just a learning curve. I am absolutely not scared of failure at all. And I have definitely got more failures than successes in business. But the successes have massively outweighed the failures. But going into it with that mindset means that what you're going to do is you are going to take control. And I think that's the question. As an artist, how am I going to take control? As a musician, how am I going to take control? How am I going to build the audience? How am I going to have control over my career so that I am not the puppet on a string? And the way you do that is this long-term build of your career. So you are building it up brick by brick by brick so that you are in control. That's the question of how you can do that. Because if you look back at Laura Mvula, who's been dropped off her label, I got this text message, very, very sad. You could look at it as very sad, or you could look at it as she just got all of the power. Because over the last however many years that she's been building this up, she has now got an audience. She's got 111,500 followers on Facebook. She's got 50,000 YouTube followers. She's got 41,000 Instagram followers. She gets 375,000 Spotify plays per month. And she just got given the keys to the city because she has the audience. She is now a recognized name, and there's a lot of artists that have come out in support who are willing to do collabs with her, that want to support her. She has now got license to go and make the music she wants to make and sell it in the way that she wants to sell it on the platforms that she wants to be involved in. So she just got the keys to the city in my eyes. She's just got pushed up to a certain level, which she's worked very, very hard for. And now, because other labels are probably maybe going to sniff around her, but she can now take control. She has got license with that audience. And I feel like that's the question that musicians should be asking. Not, how do I get a live agent? How do I get major labels to come down to my gig? It should be step by step. How am I going to build my audience? How am I going to get people to love what I do? How can I improve my stuff so much that I am completely in control, because every time I put something out there, these people want to be a part of it? That question is not being asked. And that's the big question, because Laura Mvula is now in control. Whether she takes control, that's up to her. But in my eyes, she now has control of where she takes her music. And you need to go into your career as a musician and as a band and as an artist thinking the same thing. We are going to take this step by step. And if we get a record deal, and you got to remember as well, is most major label artists won't actually succeed in the eyes of the labels and in the eyes of us. So with that in mind, going into this, it's just step after step. Piece after piece after piece. And so you're not dropping back down to the beginning. You're always gonna, if something goes wrong, you're always gonna be able to go down a little bit to be able to progress on further. If you get dropped by a label, okay, you drop down a little bit, but if you're in control, if you've got that audience, there are definitely options that you have got. So it's just a very interesting question that I'm not getting asked. How do I build my following? How do I build my audience? And more importantly, how can I be in control? Or as a band, how can we take control? So that when, because let's face it, when a massive record label comes knocking at your door, you don't say no. Very, very rarely will you say no. It's like football. You're playing football for a decent team, and all of a sudden, Man United comes knocking at the door. Even if you're thinking, I might sit on the bench quite a lot, you're still going to be thinking, it's Man United. And that's the same thing with a record label. All of a sudden, Sony comes knocking at your door. It's very, very hard to turn that down. And you shouldn't feel that you need to turn it down, but you need to go into it thinking, I'm not going to come out this the other end just being dropped, which possibly will happen or probably will happen at some point. So I'm going to use this as a stepping stone for my career with the audience building and everything else. So that's the question. And that's the question you should be thinking about and asking. How can you take control of your music career, your band's journey, your audience, and how over a long period of time you can still sell records 10 years time from now, 20 years time from now, should you want to. Cool, enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.